Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
Not my era.
and welcome to the Mustardcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, free Palestine, um, forever and always until it is done. But yeah, so many bad things going on in the world. It's hard to keep up, especially in America. It sucks, but you know,
Yeah.
we have to put the work in to make it better, and not just
hmm
pray that someone else will. So, starting in animation. What cartoons have you been watching lately?
Let me think. I don't think I have anything. I've mostly been doing a lot of reading, believe it or not. I haven't been sitting down and I don't know, watching anything lately because I've been very book pilled. So
I have been
no
reading a lot lately
animation for
too,
me
actually.
yet. Yeah.
Specifically, I've been
But
catching
I
up on my
know
comics, which has been great.
mhm,
I've been making a concerted
that
effort
is
to catch up
perfect.
on all of my comics so that I'm not several chapters behind all the time.
Makes sense. Yeah, I do know that the new episodes of Don Da Don are out though, so those are on my docket to watch probably, if not tonight, then tomorrow night.
Yeah, I watched that. It was good. First episode. I just picked up exactly where last season left off. Which,
Mhm.
you know, the way that anime works nowadays is basically one season split into two. Um, so last episode
Right.
just left on a cliffhanger, so it just feels like it's picking up directly where it left off, and those creepy dudes, even creepier, still creepy.
Mm.
It's weird. I don't know how to feel about it because on one hand it's like, yeah, that exists, that happens in real life, and it's like
Right.
not necessarily a bad thing to incorporate that into a story, but at the same time it's like, is it necessary?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's just weird and uncomfortable, and I'm like, I don't know if this is necessary. I feel like you could have done anything else here. But at the
Right,
same
right,
time,
right.
like I said, like it's real, it exists, and
It's very real.
it's not necessarily a bad thing to shine a light on that in a piece of art. It's just that
But
when
it's
it's
like, is it
used in a comedic way where it gets weird.
yeah. Like it has the potential to get too weird, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they do play it as like creepy the whole time. Since
That's good.
since the show does have very much a horror side to it with all the ghosts and aliens.
Right. hmm
But for me, also still watching Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Superman the Animated Series, and One Piece alongside Blind Wave, the reaction YouTube channel that I watch, and I subscribe to their Patreon to watch their stuff full length alongside them, which is fun. And I'm close to
hmm
finishing my personal rewatch, technically complete watch of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, because I never watched it in full when I was a kid. When you're a kid,
hmm
you never watch a full season of anything. You watch whatever episode is on
Right.
TV. um, and
Exactly.
I have 2 episodes left before I'm finished. I've actually watched the show in its entirety. And yeah, Avengers and Mighty Heroes, so good, so good. If Marvel brings back any other cartoon, it should be this one. Bring back Earth's Mightiest Heroes is the best adaptation of the Avengers ever.
Mm.
I finished my rewatch of Aztez a while ago. They're closing in on finishing up Superman the Animated Series, and I'm hoping that the next show they watch is Batman Beyond, because I've been holding off on
hmm
watching Batman Beyond, waiting for them to watch it so that I could do what I did with Superman and what I did when they were watching Batman before Superman was
hmm
I was doing my own rewatch that I was like tens of episodes ahead of them, and then I would also watch the episode that they're on. So I want to do that with Batman Beyond.
hmm
So when they start watching Batman Beyond, I'll continue my rewatch and finish that up while I watch their
That
rewatch.
makes sense.
And basically me watching the show twice, and it's great. And One Piece, I haven't watched One Piece from the beginning in a long time. I've been watching that alongside them, and that's a good time. One Piece, so nostalgic,
Right.
so good. People love to say that like early One Piece is boring. It is not. Early One Piece, in my opinion, the best of One Piece.
Ooh,
I
hot take.
I don't like post time skip One Piece. I just straight up don't like it. I
That's real.
I don't like the way it looks. The story is good, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, I don't know, it's going in a direction that I'm just like, I don't know. It's losing some of the luster for me. Or it lost some of the luster for me because,
Mm-hmm.
it's been post time skip for like, over 2 years at this point. Um yeah, Lazarus has wrapped up, came to an end. And overall, it was cool. Like, it's not like it's nowhere near close to any of Watanabe's best work, like Cowboy Bebop,
Hmm.
Samurai Champloo, or even
Right.
Space Dandy. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's up there with like Carol and Tuesday. It's worth
Okay. Okay.
it's
Okay.
worth the watch. The last big fight scene was awesome. But the overall ending of the story was kind of anticlimactic, honestly.
Oh,
Little
boo.
disappointing. The very final moments of that episode. Everything leading up to it was pretty
Mhm.
fun, but the actual very end of the episode was kind of whatever. Especially
Dang.
when you compare it to like Cowboy Bebop or Samurai Champloo, which have incredible endings.
Hmm.
But it's not necessarily fair to compare it to them. Those are two of the greatest anime ever created.
Right.
um, but yeah, that's all I got in terms of what I've been watching. Moving on to some news and animation. Cyberpunk Edgerunners Season 2 is in production.
Mm.
This is coming from the Cyberpunk Edgerunners Twitter. It will present a standalone 10-episode story from the world of Cyberpunk 2077. It will be a raw chronicle of redemption and revenge. When the world is blinded by spectacle, what extremes do you have to go to make your story matter? So I mean, that's kind of like basically the ethos of the first season as well. um,
Hmm.
Recently, a writer on Edgerunners said that Polish people are sad, and that he likes telling sad stories and derives joy from making people feel bad. So I wouldn't expect this to be any less depressing than the first season by the end of it.
Right.
I mean, people are gonna die by the end of the season, and you're gonna be upset, just like the first season.
For sure.
You watched the entirety of the first season, didn't
I watched most of it.
you?
I still haven't finished it
Yeah,
yet.
you gotta finish it.
Funnily enough,
So good.
I will. I will.
Also, the game, so good. Is it? Does it still exist on PS4? I wonder. I think it does. Or
It
maybe
does,
not.
but also I have it on PC.
Okay,
So
yeah.
either
Obviously,
way,
you have PC. If
yeah,
you have PC, that's definitely the best place to play it.
yeah, for sure.
Your PS4 will explode.
For definitely.
But granted, also they've made it work on the Switch too, so it probably does work on the PS4 now. They probably optimized it
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah.
if you can
But
play it,
like,
if you can play it anywhere else, definitely play it anywhere else. I hear it runs pretty
yeah.
good on the Switch though, but I have it on my PS5, so I don't have need to play it on Switch. But
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
glad that it works there, so the people who don't have those consoles can play it on their Switch.
Yeah.
Next, we have Eyes of Wakanda. I think I sent you the teaser trailer for this. I can't remember. Um,
I believe so.
yeah,
It sounds familiar.
we got a
Yeah.
teaser trailer for the 4 episode miniseries, and the art style looks great. This is I believe it takes place within the MCU. And yeah, it's an anthology. I think it's anthology. I'm actually not sure about that. I just know it's an animated series about Wakanda.
Hmm.
I actually don't know that much about it because I've only heard about it, and it's been kind of just it's been weird. I feel like the advertising for it. It comes
Right.
out October or August 27th, which is relatively soon. We're recording this on July 6th, and
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like they announced it years ago. I feel like around the same time they announced like Fantastic Four, and the Avengers movies, and then like we just didn't hear anything for a long time, and now all of a sudden we get a teaser trailer, and it's coming out in a month, and you can't give us a full trailer. what's, go-
Right. It's like,
what's going on with this?
don't piss me off.
But weirdly enough, Disney has had a lot of African animation on its platform. They've had some African studios work on Star Wars Visions, but also there was a whole African anthology series, Kizazi Moto Generation Fire, on Disney Plus, which
Mm.
I still haven't finished. I need to get back to it. But yeah, they weirdly supportive of African animation, which is cool. Not quite sure
Right.
who's animating this specifically, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is an African animation studio. But yeah, moving on to comics. Um, like I said just before we started recording, I've been reading a lot, making a considered effort to catch up on all of my comics, and I'm getting close. Um, uh, it helps that that some comics have just ended because they weren't ongoing.
Right.
Like Black Canary Best of the Best, I read the final 2 issues, numbers 5 and 6, and that comic was great. Tom King, getting a lot of hate recently, but this is one of the good ones when it comes to his stories.
Mm.
Starring a woman, and very much focused on her relationship with her mother, and yeah, I feel like Wonder Woman feels like a bit of a one-off in terms of him being weird when it comes to writing woman. In my experience, my limited experience with his comics, I've read 4 now of his comics, and
Mm.
I don't know. He seems to do fine everywhere else. He just shouldn't be writing Wonder Woman. He's not. He's just not fit for it.
Right.
I read Batman and Robin Year One, number 7. Again, the art by Chris Samney is incredible. If you just look it up, we've talked about it before, and you've looked it up before. But his art looks like almost an evolution of Batman the Animated Series art style. If it was like still being made today, it's his art is gorgeous.
It seems it is. It is.
Yeah, still reading Batman Superman World's Finest, which they're still in the middle of the We Are One arc, I think it's called. Where it's just the bringing back the Legion of Doom, which have been kind of absent in the comics for a while, and I'm hoping that they show up in live action soon because I'm tired of superhero movies having one villain be the bad guy. It's like, no, give me a whole team of villains, okay? Give me the Legion of
Right.
Doom. What do they call them in Marvel? They literally are like all over Avengers or Mighty Heroes, but I can't remember the name right now. They have a cool name. I can't remember it at the moment. But Birds of Prey, number 18, 19, catching up with that. I think I'm only 2 issues behind on that one. I'm caught up on episode Wonder Woman. And also Superman. I'm on issue number 26. Absolute Green Lantern. 3rd issue is out right now, but I read number 2. Absolute Martian Manhunter number 3, which I think the 4th issue is going to be the last issue for probably like 2 months because I think they're going on a break for reasons I can't remember. But yeah, they're going on a break, and they'll be back and they'll be off for a month, so there'll be a gap there. Poison Ivy, I'm caught up on that, which this is one of the ones I was the furthest behind on, but I'm fully caught up now on Poison Ivy after reading issues 33 and 34. And actually, no, I think I was the furthest on The Flash, which I'm catching up on that. I think I'm 2 issues behind now. I read number 19 to 20. Trying to catch up on that. The current arc is kind of like whatever, and I'm hoping the next arc is better, which I think this one's close to wrapping up. Actually, no, I think the new arc technically just started, but it's kind of picking up where the last arc left off. And I'm hoping it's better because the last one wasn't bad, but it was just like it wasn't as good as the one before it. So I'm hoping. I feel like that's probably why I've been so slow to read it.
Right.
And last but certainly not least, Zatanna. I read numbers 3 and 4, and I believe I'm caught up on that. And the art in Zatanna is incredible. I've just kind of just been utilizing time that I have. I caught up to other. Okay, I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna get cut out about other stuff that I read. I read a lot, but not for the reasons you think. Like legitimately, legitimately, I don't read them. Like dead ass, I just read them to enjoy them.
Right? They be hitting. The storylines be hitting, and I'd be a little mad about it because I'm like, you're.
It's wild.
This is not your purpose.
And sometimes you see the art and go like, "This is what you've dedicated your life to." But you know, art is art, and I'm here enjoying it. So who am I to judge?
Exactly.
But I've also caught up on all of those, which leaves me more time at night and in the morning, which is when I usually read those, to read other stuff. And that's why I've been catching up with my comics because my schedule is open. But I'm gonna cut that part out. I just wanted you to know that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all in terms of comics I've been reading. Have you been reading anything interesting lately? Well, you did say you've been reading a lot lately.
Yes, comics. I finished the first volume of Lady Snowblood. Really liked it. Gonna move on to the second. I read the first volume of Hellsing for the first time. And it, like, I knew Hellsing was insane. I didn't think it was that insane, and I loved every bit of it. But then also see why, like, the mangaka got in trouble. Because there's a lot of things in Hellsing. Like when I was reading this first volume, I was like, "That's very Trigun," and even like in his author's note at the end of the volume, he mentions like Trigun as a big inspiration, and I'm like, "You don't say." But Hellsing's really good. I like it so far. I like Alucard. I think he's silly. Lady Integra, I would do anything for, and I don't know, it's just really good.
Yeah, Hellsing's awesome. I gotta reread and watch that eventually. I also forgot to mention all the Marvel comics I've been reading because most of those have been physical.
Right.
In terms of the ones I've been reading digitally, but I'm considering picking one up physically starting soon. I'm still reading the current running Daredevil comic, which has been fun. It's about Daredevil. He died in the last arc or at the end of the last run, and he came back to life. But when he came back, he brought a bunch of demons with him that have like possessed, that all represent the 7 deadly sins, and they've possessed people in his life. And he's kind of like going around exercising them. And
That's a banger.
I read the not the latest, but the latest issue of Black Panther that's on the Marvel Universe app. Um, and
Mm.
I read or Marvel Unlimited app, and I've also read the latest X Men Ultimate X Men comic that's on the Marvel Unlimited app. In terms of physical
Mm.
comics, I've read what was it Ultimate Spider Man? I think 16, the Ultimates 13, um, Ultimate Wolverine. I think it was 5 and 6, and was it Ultimate Spider Man Incursion? I think, which was following Miles Morales. He is originally from the original Ultimate Universe, but now he exists in a main universe. But in this comic, he finds his way into the new Ultimate Universe, and is just having some adventures there. And I also read Battle Beast, um, which is Battle Beast is a character from Invincible, and this is a spinoff comic from Invincible
Ooh,
by Robert Kirkman
banger.
and Ryan Otley, the writer and artist on the original Invincible comic, and that's been fun so far. Only the first issue, but I've ordered the second issue, so I'm gonna pick that up probably sometime next week.
Mm.
And yeah, I think I'm going to buy the first 2 volumes of Ultimate X-Men, which the first one is each of
Ooh.
them I think are 12 issues, covering 12 issues. Um, no,
Mm.
each of them are covering 6 issues. Um, and then then from there I'm going to start buying the issues from after that so I can keep up with it. And I'm thinking I might
Mm-hmm.
drop Wolverine eventually. We'll see. So I can save some money there, and
Mm.
then I'll just have
Mm.
I'll only be buying Black Panther, or not Black Panther. I dropped Black Panther. Spider Man Ultimates X Men, because I'm mad that I didn't start with X Men. For some reason, I thought I wouldn't like it, and I don't know why. I look back on it and go, why did I think I wouldn't like this? This is incredible. I think I thought it might be.
Right.
I think my thought when I saw the art was that it was going to be more aimed towards kids. It's absolutely not. Peach Momoko, first off, her art is incredible. We've talked about her before.
Oh
And
yeah.
she also like really loves horror, and there's a lot of like horror in this book. It's real good. Um,
Mm.
Also, there's another Marvel like um, I don't know if it's technically an event, but a comic called Imperial that is this like cosmic event that's happening that's really fun. That's only going to be 4 issues, so I'm not going to be
Mm.
spending an ungodly of money trying to keep up with that. It's just going to be 4 issues and then it's done. um,
Right.
and I like the cosmic side of Marvel is my favorite. So in terms of the comics specifically, especially, so I'm excited to read more of that. So far, the story is that somebody's taking out like leaders of worlds and or leaders of planets,
Mm.
and one of them was Scar, the Hulk's son. So now
Oh.
the Hulk is like on a warpath to figure out who killed his son. Um,
Mm.
and also, what is it? Star Lord and Nova are there helping him as well. And I'm sure some other
Ooh.
cosmic scale heroes will show up eventually.
Mm.
And lastly, there was a comic called Marvel Knights the World Yet or the World to Come, I believe, which I think is going to be 6 issues. And I enjoyed it, but it's been getting a lot of heat lately because it gave I don't think it's canon, but it gave Black Panther a white son. And a lot of people are like, they see
Oh.
that off top and get upset. And I'm like, I think they're trying to tell a very specific story there about whiteness that I think people are kind of like ignoring for the sake of getting upset. Um,
I
so like I
hope
feel like
so because
we have to wait and see. I feel like people are like kind of like it's bit like it's 1 issue, and we don't know much else outside of that 1 issue. So I feel like it's a bit too early to start getting upset about it. Because I feel like the reveal is supposed to be shocking. It's supposed to be like, who's this white kid that's trying to like take over the throne of Wakanda just because he's his son? Technically he's mixed, but like, yeah. There's also I don't know. It's weird because in this version of the story, like
Mhm.
Black Panther did marry a black woman, so it's like, where's this white kid come from? He must be
Yeah,
adopted.
like whose white baby is
Like
this?
exactly, whose white baby is this? um, but we'll have to read more to see. I'll definitely be checking out the second issue because at first, after hearing all the negativities around, I was like, oh, am I not gonna like this? And then I read it, and I was like, oh, that was good. What are people upset about? Oh, he's white. Okay, let's wait and see where it goes before we start getting upset. Maybe that's part of the story. Like, let's calm down, guys. Like, I feel like people tend to get upset way too early. Um, it's like to an
Right.
extent, understandably, but like, let's calm down. um, yeah, that's it in terms of what I've been reading. But in terms of not necessarily comic news, but just comic stuff in general.
Mm.
So I'm trying to start. we've talked about this off podcast, but I'm trying to turn this section into, just very briefly going over the comics I'm reading and not going as into detail like I used to. Not into detail, but I used to just read a bunch of synopses, which was mostly useless. So now I just list them off and talk about whatever I want to talk about in relation to them, like I did just now, just rambling off about them. But in addition to that, I want to have a section where we talk about a comic that we're all reading. And I have a friend, my friend Bree, who's been on the podcast, I believe, maybe twice. And they also did the artwork that we use for the podcast. And I've talked to them about doing the book club thing, and they were like, "Yeah, let's do it." So it's a matter of if you want to or have the time to do it. If you don't, it's fine. It could just be this section. It could just be at least like the book club section. I'll still like talk to you about what you've been reading lately. But the book club section could just be me and her. But if you want to join in, the first book we're planning on doing is Wonder Woman Historia, because that's short and sweet and beautiful. Such a beautiful book. But if you want to get in on this, I want to try and do this in anticipation for the next episode.
Right. Yeah, I can totally. I'd totally be down to get in on this.
Yeah, so we can talk more about that later. But speaking of, the podcast evolving, me and you aren't going to talk about TV and film, because Christian, who has been, a guest on the podcast for the last several weeks with Sinners and then The Last of Us, is joining us. He's be co-host for the TV and film section, and me and him are gonna have a long discussion about Superman. So, spoiler free for this episode, but next episode you're gonna get spoiler filled after he's seen it, and if you've seen it as well, we'll include you in on that. This will be the first episode 126, where Christian is an official part of the podcast, specifically for the TV and film section. Christian has been on with us reviewing Sinners and The Last of Us, and now he's just on for the foreseeable future as part of this section of the podcast. Want to, I guess, give another introduction to yourself for the 10th time?
Yeah, for the 10th
for the last time, I guess.
Yeah, for the last time. Yeah. Yeah. First, thanks again for having me. Reviewing The Last of Us and reviewing Sinners, it really was a fun experience. So yeah, it's just cool as always chopping it up about art stuff. And yeah, my name's Christian. I'm a teaching artist and musician in Baltimore, and I make music under the name Black Norma. I'm also a filmmaker, so I have a deep love for screenwriting, studied film, and I just really love storytelling. And yeah, it's just really been cool being on this podcast, and I feel like what you do with the Mustard Cast, Dijon, is very cool because it's just like pop culture and film and media analysis, but not weird. Like it's not it's just very just real, just very cool media analysis, and yeah, it's very cool being here.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you're a part of it now. Me and you always have great discussions about stuff, and it was about time I had you on a podcast, and then I was like, you know what, you might as well stay. So another change that's been made to the podcast is that usually at the very top of the podcast, I'll ask what media we've been consuming. We'll all talk about the movies, the games, the books, and all that we've been reading and watching and playing. But instead, I've changed it to where we do that at the beginning of every section. Animation section, we talk about cartoons we're watching, comics, we talk about the just books and we've been reading in general, and TV and film, we talk about what we've been watching lately. So what have you been watching?
A good question. Recently, a film that me and my partner are working through is Mickey 17.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Huge Bong Joon-ho fan. Yeah. Just the host, Parasite, of course, Memories of Murder. It's just I really love how he weaves serious with critique and still has space for slapstick, but it's not jarring
Yeah.
and it works still and it makes sense. Like I feel like he's just he knows how to teeter that balance in a way that's so seamless where at some points where it's like, why am I laughing right now? He's very great at that. To Mickey 17, as far as shows, after The Last of Us, I've haven't really dove into a show yet, which is kind of crazy. Maybe it's just been the schedule and like everything with teaching, but like it's been like I really want to dive into another thing. But kind of been comfort food recently, so like HGTV.
Wow.
But like as far as watching, um, just like just doing intentful watching of stuff, yeah, Mickey 17, and I've really enjoyed it. Like I still have a bit to go on it, but yeah, it's a very cool film so far, and this is very cool satire. Um, oh, I watched the Sly Stone documentary recently. I feel like now that I'm going, I'm gonna remember all the stuff I'm watching. But yeah, watched the Sly Stone documentary recently. Sly Lives, directed by Questlove, and it was a very just good musical study and documentary behind one of the most important musicians in not just black music but music in general. And me being a huge fan of him, my story the day he passed, my story was just Sly Stone clips and snippets. So like me, it felt very important to watch it, and it was a very good watch. Um, Other than that, yeah, I just been watching random like lore and live performances and stuff like that. But yeah, like a mix of documentary and satire stuff. But what about you though?
Yeah, for me, I've been watching The Bear season 4, and I'm like most of the way through it. Um, and so far, it's been a very cathartic season with almost all the characters going through a ton of personal growth. But it still manages, of course, to be as stressful and anxiety-inducing as it always has been. Do you watch The Bear at all, or have you seen any of it?
I've not watched The Bear, which is wild because I am a fan of the dramedies that FX puts out. Like, Land's one of my favorite shows ever. So, like, I've just heard so much good about The Bear, and I've just have not sat down to watch it yet. So I do need to catch up to The Bear.
Yeah, I forget when I first watched it. It was a couple years ago. I kept hearing things, and one day I just sat down and watched it. I was like, oh wow, this is awesome, and I've been keeping up with it ever since. The problem for me now is that they release it all at once, and I hate it. I like watching things week to week, and lately we've been kind of going back to that. We've been getting more things week to week, and let's
Yeah,
not go back. Let's not regress. Let's do the week to week. Why are we releasing the Bear all at once? That should be a weekly show.
I agree. Feel like the weekly model, there's something more conversational about it. And I
Yeah,
love the fact that for that week, you talk about that episode until the next one comes out.
it also makes it
Um,
easier to keep up on it and not get spoiled.
exactly. Yeah. Which happens all the time with binging based series. And also, sometimes it leads to narratives having to be written based around binge culture.
Mhm.
And I feel like that is often like it can detract from the work sometimes.
Yeah,
But yeah, like
if
I,
you're
I do want to
looking,
get better.
yeah, if you're looking for a show, the Bear's a great one. Yeah, I'm also watching, or I finished watching Ironheart on Disney Plus, and it was good. As I'm sure you know, or if you don't, you won't be surprised to hear that this show has been getting a lot of unnecessary hate online, mostly
Yeah,
due to the fact that the story is about a black woman, and that's just the world we live in currently because uh, racism is being encouraged, especially online, where people can, hide. And it's very unfortunate that, anytime a black person makes anything, or there's a project starring a black woman in a popular franchise, people love to tear it down, especially Disney based stuff like Marvel and Star Wars. When it's either a black woman or just a woman, people just love to start tearing things down. I do
Yeah,
think that for me, it puts me in a very difficult situation because, was it? I feel like a similar show would be the Obi-Wan show that came out a year or so ago,
mhm,
where one of the leads was a black woman. She was one of the main villains, one of
yeah,
the Inquisitors, and she was just getting a lot of hate, and it put me in a very weird situation, and it's happened multiple times where I don't like something, but it's not because of the stupid racist reasons other people have, but I tend to just either kind of try to broach it carefully about talking about what I dislike about it, or I just don't talk about it because it's not worth adding to the discourse. And that happened with Obi-Wan, where I had criticisms of her performance, had criticisms of that show overall, but I tried to keep it to a minimum because it just wasn't worth it. Another Star Wars show, The Acolyte, I enjoyed for the most part, and it sucks that we live in a world where if a show does bad or doesn't necessarily, hit a certain goal with its first season, it's just over. They don't get a shot to improve and make it better. Because The Acolyte
right,
was doing a lot of things that I had been wanting Star Wars to do for a long time, which is like focusing on the Sith and the dark side and telling a story about kind of the inherent corruption of the Jedi. It was very interesting. Another thing that they did that I've been wanting for a long time is focusing heavily on martial arts and doing new stuff with the Force. And I was like, oh, this is dope, but it had its
right,
flaws. And another show starring black women, and it just got an overwhelming amount of hate because of that. And Ironheart is being added to that long list of shows on Disney Plus getting hate because it's starring a woman. Same thing with the Marvels, which was a movie that was in theaters that I went to go see, and another whatever movie, but starring three women, one white, one black, one South Asian, and also got
and
hate,
directed by a black
and
woman.
directed by a black woman exactly, and Ironheart also directed by a black woman over some of the episodes, and uh, produced by Ryan Coogler, and it already wasn't getting the like advertised properly. They started advertising it like last minute and started throwing Ryan Coogler's name on it like a last minute, and it was wild how last minute all the advertising for this show was. And
Like,
the show's good, but it isn't like spectacular. Um, and something that I think always happens with these situations is something that I get, but like I can't necessarily disagree with it, but I also don't agree with it, which is overcompensating for the hate and pretending like something's like a little bit better than it actually is for the sake of
yeah,
balancing out the racism and the hate and kind of trying to give those people the love that they deserve for the hard work that they put in, which like I said I can never hate on that because it feels necessary. But if I'm being
right,
honest, I think a lot of the praise for this show, it's a little performative, a little
yes,
overplayed, a little extra for the sake of the hate that's happening. And it's understandable why that's
right.
happening, and I'll never blame people for doing that. The show is worth the watch, but I wouldn't say you're missing out on much if you don't watch it either.
Okay. Yeah,
It's not a show I would necessarily run around going like, you gotta watch Ironheart. I'd be like, if you want to.
right. Like, yeah. 'Cause I've been out of the MCU for a bit now, but with the it's a cycle that happens. Yeah, like everything you're saying, whether it's the Marvels, whether it's Ironheart, whether it's the Woman King, and just like everybody becoming scholars in a certain thing whenever black folks get involved. It's a very it's a cycle that persists for sure. Um, in regards to like criticism, like with Ironheart or it getting like a lot of praise. I feel like on both sides of the spectrum, whether it's like, of course, the red pill post Gamergate guys, they're weirdos. They just they need to touch grass, and they watched your movie sucks and think they understand film criticism. Um, but they just they're nitpick critics, and also they're anti-black. So like in regards to what their opinions are on things, I don't really value them that much. But in regards to like the people that are kind of like praising it and praising it and praising Ironheart, we love it. But I also think that often the mainstream or mainstream italicized often doesn't know how to engage black art. And often I feel like there's this thing where, and it's a pressure that I feel like everyone feels sometimes, where it's like if I criticize black art too harshly, there's a chance that we might not get another version of this.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you have this pressure to uphold it and make sure that it has a chance to survive because I mean, Moon Girl just got canceled,
Yep.
and like like in general, black women superhero stories just don't get that big of a platform. They just don't.
The
Like
unfortunate truth is,
Miles was just
there's just not a lot of them.
yeah, right. Like it's just not that many OCs. So like yeah, it's just with Ironheart kind of being the last of Disney trying to do like a black woman superhero character, maybe there's just like this subtle pressure of we gotta boost this thing as much as possible so that this thing can be successful.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is
yeah,
completely understandable. And like I said, I'll never hate on it. I'll give my opinion and
right.
say, like I said, it's not a bad show. I thought it was good. I had a good time watching it. I think especially the last three episodes is where it kind of like got real interesting. The first three for me were like cool and entertaining, but the last three I feel like has really picked up. And I was like, okay, I see what the praise is coming from. And like, yeah, I get the kind of just overwhelming, like we've gotta like make sure people know that we like this so that we get more of it.
Right. Yeah, like it's a cycle that happens where this is how it went with Obi-Wan and or Kenobi. I mean, this is how it went with Kenobi, where there's people that had legitimate criticisms of the show and just didn't like the way that it was written, and that despite some of the high points, it was just kind of a dud. And then you had the people that were sending threats to the actress and being very weird and nasty to her, and like and then people were responding saying that like the folks that were going after her were wrong, and they
Right.
definitely were
Like you
terrible
you can have
in the way that they went
criticism
after.
for someone and just not resort to that. And those people, it wasn't about criticism, like you said. It was they're racist. It was just hatred in their hearts. They weren't. Their goal wasn't to have meaningful criticism. It was to just be a hater.
Exactly. And I feel like we're kind of in a Gamergate 2.0 stage of media consumption right now, where I feel like media literacy is kind of at an all-time low to an extent. And people just do not know how to engage art with black folks in it or black women in it. And it's just a very interesting
Yeah.
space right
It's
now.
also a two-way street
Um,
where it's a combination of because people don't know how to engage with black art and because of the racism, that also there's the other side of it where people get then judged too harshly when they do have criticism for black art, even when it's valid and not racist. Even though that doesn't happen often, I want to make that very clear. It doesn't. It doesn't happen that often, but occasionally it does. And that is also a byproduct of the lack of media literacy, of people not knowing how to engage with criticism without taking it to heart and getting upset and angry versus trying to have an actual dialogue and conversation.
right. Yeah. And I feel like, especially with the next topic we're going to get into, internet has just been very weird in regards to film criticism, and I feel like there needs to be, I don't want to say an exodus, but there needs to be a moment where people that like genuinely love film and love superhero culture and nerd culture and uh anti-black backwash, it needs to be a moment where we separate them from the film community, or separate them from people who have legitimate criticisms of the art and want to get to understand the art. Because I feel like whether it's the YouTube space or the online space in general, it's become populated by go woke, go broke, anti SJW content creators who make the same video with the same thumbnails every day.
Yeah.
And it's affected film criticism. And it's very interesting when there's glitches in the matrix sometimes and people don't know how to respond, which is what happened with Sinners. Because like a lot of that like anti SJW mill, they didn't know what to say to it. So it's just, I feel like there needs to be a moment where the nerds in every subculture need to be like, okay, what is up with us? What is up with this anti-otherness?
For sure,
Like,
especially in these universes that are all about the other,
exactly.
which is insane. I also saw a few weeks ago the latest movie from the John Wick universe, Balerina, and it was just as much dumb fun action as you expect these from these movies, and there's not too much to say besides that. There was honestly so much action that at one point toward the end, like in like the final big action scene, I started to nod off. And like for a few minutes I was out and then I woke up. But I woke up in the middle of like easily the best action scene in the movie, which involved a duel between two flamethrowers. And it was very creative and it was awesome. Just these are movies made by stunt performers, and it shows through the action. The action in these movies are always incredible. The movie itself takes place during the events of my personal favorite John Wick 3, Parabellum, and it follows Eve Macaro, played by Anna de Armas, who was trained in the assassin traditions by the Roscaroma, and she is taking on an army of killers in search of those responsible for the death of her father. Very classic revenge tale. And yeah, they definitely left room for a sequel, which I'm excited to see. You watched the John Wick movies?
I've watched. Oh goodness, my film card is gonna be revoked. I've seen John Wick 1.
Ah,
Um, I've only seen the first
what was
one.
that? 2014? That was 10 years ago, brother.
2014, yeah. And from watching the first John Wick, I would have never predicted that it would evolve into like basically like the film equivalent of a graphic novel. Like the way it expanded, it just
Yeah.
I was not prepared for
Yeah,
that.
the universe of
So
John Wick itself is honestly very interesting. The whole like assassin network is really fun,
yeah,
and yeah, I definitely encourage you to watch those other John Wick movies. They're really good. If you just want some done fun action and some interesting world building, they're great movies. Whenever you're in the mood for just action, definitely watch a John Wick movie. I also went to see F1 in theaters with D-Box seats, which I assume you know what D-Box is.
yeah.
Yeah, for those who
So
don't,
you rattling in the seats.
yeah, for those who don't, D-Box seats essentially add motion and vibrations in sync with the action that's happening on the screen. And they recently added them to the Cinemark out in the county. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, when I was looking for tickets and saw the option for D-Box, I figured that there would be no better movie to experience it for the first time with than a Formula One racing movie. um, and the movie itself was really fun. It's about Sonny Hayes, played by Brad Pitt, who was a promising F1 racer in the 90s, but he had his career ended by an on-track accident. And 30 years later, the owner of a struggling Formula One team, played by not Benicio del Toro. I always confuse these two.
Have you tried them?
It is, yeah, you already knew it. Javier Bardem. I always confuse those two, and I don't know why. And yeah, he asked him to join the team to help get the team out of their funk, and uh, he's driving alongside the team's hotshot rookie Joshua Pierce, played by Damon Idris. And it's a classic story about Sonny thinks he's better because he's older and more experienced, Joshua because he's young and spry, and eventually they have to come together, old school and new school, to work together to win the race. And I've heard some people describe it as a legacy sequel to a movie that doesn't exist. uh Apparently, I don't know how true this is, but it like was supposed. I know for a fact that um goddamn, why am I forgetting this man's name? Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was supposed to play Sonny Hayes in this, but I think a big
Okay.
part of the reason they didn't is because he would have done some dangerous stunts in those cars that they weren't comfortable letting him do. But also there was a rumor that this was supposed to be like a sequel, a legacy sequel to an actual '90s racing movie, Days of Thunder, which
Oh,
Tom Cruise starred in, and that's probably why this movie feels that way. Um, I not too long ago, a month or so ago, made a letterboxd account, and now every time I see a movie, I always make sure after I see a movie, I sit down, make my little letterbox review. And on letterboxd, I gave this a 4 out of 5, which I'm glad they do out of 5 because I personally do out of 5 in my skills, and I likened it to the challengers, and sports anime, and how it
mm,
made me interested in a sport that I never cared about. My interest in racing only ever extended to racing video games like Need for Speed, but this made me
yeah.
like actually want to sit down and watch F1 in the same way that Challengers made me want to watch tennis, and like Haikyuu makes me want to watch tennis or play tennis even. Um, yeah, I also went down a rabbit hole of finding out who designed the F1 logo, because the F1 logo is amazing. And for those of you who haven't heard me say it before, I'm a graphic designer. And it was done by an ad agency called White and Kennedy, and that team was led by Richard Turley. And this happened in 2018, this redesign, which to me it felt like that has been the F1 logo forever. But I guess,
Yeah.
and based on what I researched, that was the moment that F1 kind of like became a much bigger sport after that redesign. That kind of just brought a lot of attention towards F1, and that's why it feels like it's been that way forever, because that was the moment F1 got bigger. Yeah,
Okay.
F1 was a fun movie. Um,
I got them up right now. I see what you mean. Yeah, because I'm looking at the 1994 and 1987. Yeah, it's different.
yeah, it's real different. And you look at it now, it's
Yeah.
like that makes sense. It looks like the front of a car. It's sleek. It's nice.
Yeah. The F1 logo's hard. It's hard. Like I would wear that on a shirt.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's real fun. But on to the thing that we're all here for. Last but certainly not least, I saw Superman on Tuesday. Uh, I secured early tickets uh, through Amazon Prime. Weirdly enough, where
Nice.
Prime members were allowed to purchase tickets for an early screening on Fandango. But before we even get to that, this weekend I decided to sit down in anticipation for this movie and watch Superman the movie from 1978, directed by Richard Donner. And boy, was it a good time. Uh, yeah, have you ever seen Superman the movie before? I've seen it a few times as a kid. I can't say for certain that I
Yeah.
watched it all the way through, and I think all of my memories of those movies come more from the second one than the first one, which I plan on rewatching pretty soon as well.
Yeah. Same experience with Superman the movie. Grew up with it. Um, Always just would watch it. Would spottily watch it, and then when I was older, I watched it through. And yeah, it's just a very honestly, even outside of it being a superhero film, I feel like it's just a very well written, well performed film.
Yeah, it's one of those movies
Yeah.
where I could see it being very hit or miss for people. I know some people who just don't like old stuff, and I feel like those type of people wouldn't like this movie because it is dated in a lot of ways. But just if you're a fan of Superman and comic books, you'll love it. But also if you're just a fan of just filmmaking and just seeing how things used to be done, it's it's a good time. And just watching it and going, wow, for 1978, this is crazy. This was at the cutting edge of VFX in the same way that just a year before Star Wars was, which Think about that. Back to back. Imagine being a nerd in the late 70s and you get Star Wars A New Hope and then you get Superman? Insanity.
Back to back. Yeah, that is crazy.
Both composed
And
by the great John Williams.
mhm,
With that awesome Superman theme. So good they had to bring it back for the new one.
yeah, um, it's one of those first Superman film is just one of those movies where, and I feel like a lot of movies that came out, and the same could go for the '80s, where I feel like a lot of those films were perfect storms. Like Superman the movie was a perfect storm of just like the right cast, the right director at a specific time, the right composer, the right technology just to try to make something cool. Like it was just a perfect storm of a lot of different people and a lot of circumstances that came together to make something great. And I feel like that's what Superman the movie is definitely what that film is
Yeah.
for me.
So
Um
I'm in the middle of listening to a podcast from Kind of Funny Games, which I don't know if you're familiar with them, but YouTube channel do a lot
yeah.
of video game journalism and reviews. But they also
Mhm.
review and talk about movies as well occasionally, and none of them are by any means like uh, necessarily in the film industry or like I guess a couple of them are like super into films, but none of them are really into that industry. Um, but one of them, Greg Miller, like the founder of the company, is like one of the biggest Superman fans I've ever like seen on the internet. So he knows so much about this movie, and I'm watching it and learning a lot about how this movie was made. And I'll probably have finished watched it by the time you've seen the new one, and we talk about that full spoiler filled. And he he talks about how like there was a struggle because the like producers of the movie sucked. They're like so they suck so notoriously that there is a law using their name that is about like not being able to use like previously filmed footage for a movie to make a sequel because they didn't try, they successfully did it but then got sued. um
Uh,
I forget their names at the moment, but like yeah, this they Richard Donner did have to fight against them to actually have this movie happen, and then they proceeded to kind of shaft him when it came to the second movie, um, which was filmed concurrently with the first one. And as the
right.
like after the premiere of the first movie, people say that Richard Donner just wanted to get out of there and go finish filming the second one. Um, and yeah, this movie was great. It's definitely just an amazing product of its time. And I don't know if it was because it was late and I was tired, but the opening, as beautiful as it was, showing the destruction of Krypton and then Superman's father Jor-El, played by Marlon Brando, sending him off the Earth, it was I don't know, it was weirdly slow. And maybe I was just tired, but like I was just like, I need this. I need this
I would
to get to Superman because this is too long. I think the problem is that the scene was too long for me, and I was just like, I need this to let's get to Earth, let's get off Krypton, blow Krypton up. But
I
for
would
back
fast
then,
forward to
yeah,
I would fast forward
yeah, I
because
can't.
I was like this it's longer than the title crawls in Star Wars. It's longer than
Man,
that.
you talking about title crawls? The title sequence for
Yeah.
this movie is long as hell. It took forever. The opening titles
Yeah.
took forever, but they're very iconic. The visual effects that they do for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, but once the movie gets to Earth and you get to see a bit of Superman's youth in Smallville, but then especially once you get to Metropolis and then go to Clark's first days at the Daily Planet is when the movie really picks up. It gets real interesting. And there are two very distinct tones in this movie between when you're with Clark and Superman and Lois and Jimmy, and then when you're with Lex Luthor, which of course he's the main villain of this movie. Where, from my understanding, the original script of this movie, the producers wanted it to be more along the lines of something like the '60s Batman. They wanted it to be more campy. But Donner, someone who grew up with Superman, wanted it to be more uh, a bit more self serious, a bit more kind of emotional and more, I guess, art for lack of a better term. Disrespect to Adam West, of course, that show's amazing, um,
Right.
and just less campy. Um, but he still wanted to hit on those comic campy elements, but he wanted there to be a certain level of seriousness to it and legitimacy to this character of Superman. He didn't want people to just see it as a kids film, and
Right.
you can see that in the scenes with Superman and Lois. Also, this movie is surprisingly horny. At one point, Lois literally says, "How big are you? I mean, how tall are you?" And I was like,
I,
"Hey,
that, I forgot
yo,
about that line. Yeah,
Lois,
like
chill out."
1977.
She also tells him to tell her. She's like, "Oh, you got X-ray vision, right? What color underwear am I wearing?"
Yeah,
And then he's like, "Oh, I
yeah.
can't." She's standing in
They
front
were
of a planter. The planter's made out of lead. Superman can't see through lead. But then the moment she moves, he looks and goes pink, and she's like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Bro, what?" 1978, and they were like this crazy
it's
work,
like we, yeah, yeah. They
surprisingly raunchy.
That's surprisingly raunchy for that time
Yeah,
period,
and
and also everything you're saying about Richard Donner. Like folks on the set for Superman, they were saying that there was a sign that said verisimilitude. Um, and like they were like, in every scene, every shot that we do, we want there to be verisimilitude. We want it to, yeah, it's like the appearance of being true or real. I wanted to find a good definition, but they were like verisimilitude. We want for the time period, we want you to believe that Superman could fly. We want you to believe that these character dynamics are real. Um, and I feel like the dialogue here, it's very dry and witty, and it's a certain dryness to it, and it's not slapstick or super duper slapstick,
it's not
but it's
slapstick
a
unless you're in Lex Luthor's lair, and
right.
you have that goofy ass theme song that I didn't realize came from this because I haven't seen this movie in a long time, that has been sampled in a lot of hip hop songs apparently. Um, if you hear it, you'll know it. Especially
Okay,
as a musician and a hip hop head, you'll hear it and probably be like, "I've heard this." It is the song is called Lex Luthor's Lair. You'll know it when you hear it. But yeah, that's when it gets real slapsticky, and that's where a lot of the camp is. Which is very interesting to have that kind of that dichotomy that between those two different tones with the villain and the main hero. Especially to have the hero be a serious one and the villain be goofy like that
right.
is a very kind of like Dumb and Dumber energy, especially with one of his goons. um, and Miss Tessmacher, which he just can't help but yell every 5 seconds. And yeah, Christopher Reeve, man, and it's Reeve, not Reeves. For a very long time, I thought it was Reeves. Is incredible Superman. At the time, he was a no name, and that's what Richard Donner wanted, because he if it was somebody like Sylvester Stallone who they were considering, because this was after Rocky, um, they didn't want it to be. It's not Superman. It's Sylvester Stallone. They wanted it to be Superman, so they wanted somebody who was unknown that nobody knew about, and Christopher Reeve fit that bill, and the way he's able to make Clark and Superman feel like two very different and distinct characters through his posture and even his voice is
Yeah, his
incredible.
voice.
Yeah, it reminds me of Kevin Conroy in Batman the animated series, the way he's able to make Bruce and Batman different. And there's an incredible scene that is so uncanny where Batman is in the Batcave and picks up the phone and straight faced does his Bruce Wayne voice in the full Batman get up, and it is uncomfortable because it's like that voice should not be coming out of that look.
Right. It's like the Batman voice sounded way more intense and growly, and like Bruce Wayne's voice was just way more suave. And I feel like what Christopher Reeve was doing, Superman, is just kind of like this. Clark Kent voice is just very kind of bumbling. The words kind of jumble around.
He makes his voice a little
But
higher.
yeah, and then he just transforms.
Yeah, stands up
Even like
straight,
with
speaks
yeah,
with confidence and just a little bit deeper. Not deep enough to be like Batman gruff, but deep enough to have to be assertive. Yeah, this great movie. I'm excited to watch the second one when I get around to it. But on to what we've all been waiting for. The first movie of the DCEU, James Gunn's Superman, previously titled Superman Legacy, before they changed it, which I think that was a fine title, but I think, they just wanted it to just be Superman. This is Superman. This is the first Superman movie in a long time, and the first one to just simply be called Superman. And it was as good as I was hoping to be, and nothing more.
Cool.
After the incredible, trilogy of Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker, I personally just trust James Gunn, and
Yeah.
I feel like that trust was definitely rewarded. After one viewing so far, I can't say it was better than something like Guardians or even the Suicide Squad. But those are some of the best comic book movies ever made, so it's not really a fair comparison. But
Yeah.
it was good. It was great. This is an incredibly strong start, I think, for the new DCU, and it sets a great tone moving forward. But it's not this. This isn't the tone that every movie will have. He is, leading the new DC EU alongside Peter Safran, but he said 1,000 times he's not directing everything. He's not writing everything. He's overseeing it. He's the Kevin Feige of this DCEU. And yeah, Superman in this, in terms of like the tone I think they are setting, is Superman he's an unyielding force for good in this movie. He always strives to do the right thing no matter what. And even if that puts him at odds with other superheroes, which there are other superheroes in this movie, which we'll talk about a little bit, of course, without spoiling anything. Which I don't know if I said that off top. I'm not spoiling anything about this movie. I should say that right now before I start getting in any deeper in. Today, I will be going completely spoiler free, but soon, hopefully next episode, we'll have a spoiler filled discussion. But yeah, he always strives to do the right thing no matter what, even though sometimes it puts him at odds with other heroes in this film, and even Lois Lane, and provides the driving emotional conflict of this movie, which is Superman doing the right thing? In this movie, he is 30 years old, and he's only been in the superhero business for 3 years. So he's very young and in a lot of ways very reckless. So there's a lot of questioning whether or not what Superman is doing is right. Yeah, before I go on about any other details, you have any questions?
First, yeah, I didn't know that it was going to be such a early Superman. Yeah, I didn't. 3 years is a very interesting perspective to do for Superman.
Yeah, the opening, they do, weirdly enough, an opening kind of like not title crawl, but just sequence of text that goes through a small bit of history that all goes like 333, 333, and you'll see it when you see it. But I won't necessarily say exactly what it says, but yeah, they were definitely going with the theme of that 3. Him being 30, him being 3 years into his Superman career.
Talk about the visual style, like compared to the other stuff that Gunn has done, whether it's the Guardians, whether it's Suicide Squad. In this, visually, what is the type of, like, in regards to color, in regards to framing, in regards to how they handle flying?
Yeah.
How did they go about doing that? And did you mess with it?
So I did mess with it. A big change that they made over the course of time that you notice in the trailers is the color grading. The color grading was extremely blue in a lot of the older trailers, and as like the last like couple of trailers and some TV spots came out, people noticed that it's not as blue anymore. There's more diversity in the color range, and you can only assume that happened because so many people online was like, why the hell is this movie so blue? It looks weird. And as a result, I think it does look a lot better. The colors pop. It's Superman. The big, bright blue, red, and yellow has to pop. And yeah, it looks great from that standpoint. The flying, James Gunn has said that he took a lot of inspiration from Top Gun Maverick. And that's definitely noticeable. It's very intimate in the same way that those Top Gun Maverick shots are, where there's like a camera on the wing and the camera is zooming in into the cockpit and showing their faces. You're seeing Superman's face. You're seeing it from like just over his shoulder with his cape fluttering, and it's a very the flight scenes are very intimate. You're like it's almost like Superman's carrying you as he's flying around, and they're fun. Some of the angles can be funny, and like the angles they choose with David Corn Sweat, who's playing Superman, his face as he's flying can be a bit hilarious and a little bit goofy, and people kind of made fun of that when they saw it in the trailers. But overall, I think in motion, and the scenes themselves, it works well. The I'm not a filmmaker myself, so I don't necessarily have the right language to describe it. But when it comes to action, you know what? I'm realizing now as I think about it longer and think about why this one action scene that is easily my favorite action scene in the entire movie looks so good, is because I'm thinking about Guardians, right? Specifically Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which have you seen it?
Not seen 3, but I've seen 1 and 2.
Okay, you should watch 3. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a one shot fight sequence at the very end of that movie that is awesome. Easily the best fight sequence in the entirety of the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. My brain is just realizing, oh shit, that one fight scene that happened in Superman was one shot, and that's why it looked the way that it did, and it's very reminiscent of that one shot fight scene in Guardians 3. And it was so cool. I can't wait till you see it. And it was involving a character that I'm excited to see get a lot of love. And yeah, it is very, if you've seen other James Gunn action movies like Guardians, like The Suicide Squad, you'll definitely recognize a lot of similarities. And if you like the way he films those movies, you'll definitely like this one.
How does the film handle humor?
Yeah, I mean, it's James Gunn humor, which is, I think people tend to like it overall, but some people kind of, his jokes can like linger a little too long, and to me that's kind of part of it that makes it also funny, is that it lasts just a little longer than it needs to, and it's kind of like part of what makes it funny. But not everybody likes that, and that they do that. Jokes last a little bit longer than you think they should, but if you're used to that from Gunn, then you'll be fine with it here. If that's one of the things you don't like about Gunn, it's here. It is funny. It is definitely funny. In the same way that all of his movies have been funny.
As a start for the DCEU, with this being the first film, what would you hope for Gunn to do, or like compared to the MCU? What are some of the things that DC has already been doing and that they can continue to do to really just revitalize superhero film?
The thing that they're doing that I wish Marvel would do is they have what DC calls Elseworlds, which is movies that take place outside of the main universe. And Gunn has stated that they're going to keep doing that. We're still going to get the Batman. That's not taking place in this DCEU, they say. It's mostly rumors, and I doubt it's happening. But people are like, maybe it is. It'd be cool if it was. I think I would really like to see that version of Batman interact with this version of Superman, but I don't think that's happening. And that's going to continue to be its own thing. Which, by the way, it's been heavily hinted at the fact that Robin's going to be in it because the script's done. And in the post that Matt Reeves posted on Twitter, he said something about like a dynamic duo or something like that was like, oh, Robin's gonna be in this. Which is exciting, and I hope he's a child. I want Batman to have his little child soldier, okay? It's not real, let it happen. And yeah, just having those Elseworld stories and stories that take place outside of the main universe is very important to me. But also focusing on lesser known characters, which is something that James Gunn likes to do, like he did with the Guardians, like he did with the Suicide Squad, and bring in lesser known villains. Like Clayface is getting his own movie, which is awesome. They recently announced the casting of the guy who's going to be playing Basil Karlo, which is Clayface's real name. And people can't help but, of course, there was a description for the movie released a while ago, and it is basically The Substance. But for those that know ball, The Substance is already basically just Clayface. So it makes sense that if you've watched the Batman the animated series episodes, Feet of Clay parts 1 and 2, it is just The Substance.
It's body horror. It's straight up body horror.
It's not just body horror. It's also about an actor past their prime using a substance. In that episode of Feet of Clay, he's using a substance to make himself look younger, and then it turns him into a monster. It's literally the exact same thing. That's just Clayface. So yeah, the Clayface is going to be like the substance. And yeah, that is what's exciting. Getting lesser known characters and still being able to tell stories outside the main universe, which is something that Marvel should be doing. You introduce the multiverse. Why aren't we getting an Iron Man movie starring Tom Cruise?
Not for real, yeah.
And have
Like,
it just be set in its own isolated universe. That
like,
I'm certain Tom Cruise would want to do it. And I know that's a random
right,
example, but like like anything like that. Like give us
yeah, 'cause you
another Black Panther movie starring T'Challa that's in a separate universe so that we can still get T'Challa despite the fact that he's dead in the main universe because, Chadwick Boseman passed away.
right,
Like there are
yeah,
ways to tell diverse and interesting stories versus the same type of story over and over again, the cookie cutter stuff that Marvel has been doing for a decade at this point, since Endgame. And I guess that's a little under a decade, like 6 years, but still close enough, like damn near.
yes,
Uh,
uh,
like yeah, the multiverse leaves the door open for you to be like, you don't even need a multiverse necessarily to do this, but for Marvel specifically, the multiverse opened up the door for them to do that, and then instead they proceeded to just use the multiverse to keep telling the same goddamn stories. It's so boring, but it looks like with the
yeah,
Fantastic Four, they're actually, even though that's being folded into the main universe, they decided to have
uh,
that story take place in a different universe to start.
right,
And that's awesome. Do more of that.
yeah.
Hopefully
Like
they
I
do the
think,
same thing with the X-Men.
like, hopefully, because I feel the decision they made to make Fantastic Four a period piece film, I feel like it gave it a bit more life for me, and I think it does make it interesting because the only period piece film that they've done was Captain America: The First Avenger, and Captain America: The First Avenger does have a visual style. It was directed by blanking on a director's name, but it was directed by he did a film called The Rocketeer,
Hmm.
and it was like this
I always
old
hear great
Disney
things about
film.
that. I need to watch it.
Yeah, it's like again before the Disney deal with Marvel and Star Wars, it was still around that time when they were still dropping some original IP stuff. And Rocketeer, like you can see the visual style in that and see it in Captain America: The First Avenger. But yeah, with First Steps, I'm interested in them doing a period piece film, and I hope that it just works as a movie, even though I know they probably are going to fold it in some way. But I feel like, in the sake of maintaining the
Oh, yeah, there's
universe and in
already
the sake,
like there's been a quote unquote leak. It's not a leak. It was purposefully leaked because it's too behind the scenes of a photo that would just be randomly posted by somebody on the set without, getting goddamn bullet to the brain. Is a picture of I can never pronounce his name, but Eben is his first name. He plays Richie in the Bear. He's playing the Thing. Is a shot
yeah,
of him in his, mocap suit standing next to the current Falcon and a
uh,
goddamn U.S. agent in a spaceship. So it's like, yeah,
really,
they're crossing over, and that's for Secret Wars that they're currently filming.
which is it going to be Avengers: Secret Wars?
Unfortunately, which is stupid. I hate that the Avengers name
Like,
has become synonymous with the big event movies. Don't do that because the Avengers. It's the reason why, for some stupid reason, we didn't get another Avengers movie in between the upcoming one and Endgame, because now in their
right,
mind, Avengers isn't a team; it's the big event, and it's like, no,
yeah,
the event's the event. Call it Marvel's Secret Wars. The Marvel name has enough power. The
right.
Avengers are the team. Make another Avengers movie that's just about the team. We should have gotten another Avengers movie, at least one, before this movie. It sucks that we did.
Yeah, yeah, hmm. The Avengers have become the title for Team Up, which does, yeah, feel like making a Secret Wars film. Like, even though Civil War, it was Captain America: Civil War, um, even with Civil War, I feel like if they just made a Civil War film instead of lumping it into Captain America 3, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really Civil War. It just kind of lifted the title from the arc and was just like, "There's a Civil War."
Keep it on Superman.
Gunn, and keeping it on Superman. Yeah, which brings it back to James Gunn. I feel like Gunn has a very distinct visual style, and a way that he writes character, and a way that he writes humor. So it's like it's it's a Superman film, but it's unmistakably James Gunn.
Mhm.
I've seen some people comparing this film to what Raimi did with Spider-Man
Yeah,
because,
which
like,
is always a good sign.
which is a good sign because the Spider-Man films, like there's a reason why people call it the Raimi trilogy because Sam Raimi's fingerprint is all over those films, and you can tell, like you can tell that he made those films.
Yeah.
Um, it's so unmistakably his style. They're made with the same editor that he had with the Evil Dead films. Like they're Sam Raimi films that happen to be Spider-Man movies,
Yeah.
and I think it's cool that DC and that James Gunn is allowing directors to do what they want, and allowing them to put their stamps on these films. It's like,
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how they do that with other directors, like how much he lets other directors really put their stamps on these films. Because the next one coming up is Supergirl, which is set to release sometime next year. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they do this in terms of like having directors put their fingerprint on these films. Whereas that's another place where the MCU is like lacking, where they're kind of just like I said, they're cookie cutter. They're just copy and paste. They found a way to do it, and they're just churning them out like they're being made on a factory line. And I don't want the DC to do the same thing. I want each of these movies to have and shows to have their own distinct personality and not necessarily all have to fit within the same exact kind of tone and style.
right. That's how superhero films used to be. Like that's how they were. Um, like they unmistakably had a stamp.
Yeah, and like
Like
the connected universe trick people into thinking that they all have to be the same to fit in the same universe. It's like no, clear it makes it so clear that none of you guys read comics because that's not how it is in the comics. Yet they still
at
work.
all. Mhm.
And my hope is that they translate that comic book feeling to the big screen. But I just want to go over
Right.
some of the characters and performances that really stood out to me. And I'm going to start out with the one that stood out the most, and that was Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. He is just a hater. He's just a plain hater and also a really bad person.
Mm.
He like Nicholas Hoult plays Lex Luthor perfectly. This is the most comic accurate Lex Luthor I've ever seen ever. Um,
Okay.
there was a Variety article saying that Superman isn't trying to be political. We just have real life billionaire supervillains now, and and, and not to feed into the like Snyder versus Gunn bullshit, but I feel like this movie does the realistically bad tech billionaire better than Batman vs Superman tried to do with Jesse Eisenberg essentially just playing Mark Zuckerberg again.
Right.
Everything Lex does in this is driven by greed and envy. He just can't accept the existence of a being as powerful as Superman who only wants to do good. And as a result, he's just the biggest hater on the face of the planet Earth in everything he does. He's top five haters, by the way. Like I would like top five haters is always going to be found in comic books. It's him. He's up there. Goddamn Reverse Flash.
Oh yeah,
Like
Reverse Flash.
goddamn Sabretooth. A lot of people don't know this. Sabretooth every year on Wolverine's birthday decides to do something fucked up to Wolverine. That's how much that man hates Wolverine. Like Lex Luthor is
he,
up
he
there
got
with characters like that. That's how much of a hater this man is.
he got a Google's meeting. He got a Google meeting on his calendar set
Exactly.
up just to mess
That man
with Wolverine.
wakes up early just to have more time in the day to hate. That's how much of a hater Lex Luthor is. And Nicholas Hoult does a fantastic job depicting that. Um,
It's cool.
I know a lot of people were afraid that the addition of other superheroes like Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific would take too much time and attention away from Superman. But in my opinion, I think they were great supporting characters that helped flesh out the universe, and that they were
Okay.
utilized extremely well, especially Mr. Terrific, played by Eddie Gathie or Gathigi, who Mr. Terrific has always been a very underrated and underutilized character to me, who really got his due in this film, and I'm happy he did. For those of you who don't know in the comics, Mr. Terrific is essentially he's a super athlete, not like a super soldier, but just a super talented athlete and one of the smartest humans in DC Universe. And he's said to have a natural aptitude for natural aptitudes. He's just good at everything. And he's awesome. And he's really fun in this movie and has some great jokes. And Guy Gardner, of course, is played by um, names leave my brain the moment I think of him. Nathan Fillion. Yep. We got it at the same time. He's always funny. He's never not funny. Anytime Nathan Fillion's in anything, he's the funniest person in the room. And Hawkgirl, played by Isabella Marced, who recently we talked about a lot in The Last of Us, as Dina. And last but certainly not least, we have Lois Lane, played by Rachel Brosnahan, who was an incredible character who challenged Clark and Superman mentally and emotionally, as she should, and that's kind of like the whole point of her character in a lot of ways, and pushes him to be a better superhero and a better version of himself, even as Clark Kent and as a reporter. And yeah, she just always Lois Lane. You just can't have Superman without Lois Lane. She is the quintessential superhero love interest.
Yeah.
She's the blueprint in the same way that Superman's the blueprint for all superheroes. A lot of superhero love interests, especially in DC, are reporters. Like the Flash's wife is a reporter. Both Flashes, both Barry Allen and Wally West, are married to reporters. Batman has messed with reporters. Like Spider-Man, of course, he himself works for a newspaper. I can only assume heavily inspired by Superman, but also, of course, naturally working at a newspaper, he's dated reporters. Like Lois Lane is the blueprint. She's awesome. And there's the current Superman cartoon, My Adventures with Superman, great cartoon. If you watched me talk about that show in this, you probably think I hate it because I have a very specific nitpick with that show that bothers me to this day. But overall, I love the show. I don't like most of the villains. Not that I don't like the villains. I don't like their version of most of the villains. It's weird, but overall the show is great. But that's just one nitpick that I have that bothers me so much that I can't help but talk about anytime I talk about that show. But in that show, a lot of people, mostly just sexism, hating on Lois for being Lois. Like Lois throwing herself in danger to either help Superman or like force Clark to admit that he's Superman because she's figured it out. And that's just the type of character Lois is. That's like just quintessential to who she is she's willing to put herself in danger and in arguably stupid situations that she shouldn't be putting herself in for stories. And that's part of what makes her so fun and adds more conflict to these stories. And she's awesome. And her journalistic integrity is also very integral to these stories because that Truth, Justice, and A Better Tomorrow, which it was changed to in I think 2018. A lot of people don't know that. It hasn't been American way for a very long time now. And like, yeah, that truth part, she's a big part of that truth aspect of Superman and helping him be the amazing reporter that he is. And Rachel Brosnahan is great as it, and I'm excited to see so much more of them because this movie was good. The movie's not officially out yet, so we don't know anything about sales. We'll talk about that next episode. But I don't imagine it's not going to do well. Because as much as people want to talk about superhero fatigue, people aren't tired of superhero movies. People are tired of the cookie cutter BS that Marvel gives us. All it takes is a good movie and good word of mouth. And people are going to see this movie because people like superheroes. People like superhero movies. People want to like superhero movies again. And I can only imagine, there's a conversation to be had about the economic state of the world and how that might affect it. And that could result in some problems. But that's what Discount Tuesdays are for. So I hope this movie does well so that we get more. And the project I want most from the DCU is Wonder Woman. It was like real quiet about Wonder Woman for a while, but recently James Gunn said they're starting like a script is being written, and I'm like, thank God, because she's been disrespected and undermined for a very long time. I don't know if I mentioned to you on the podcast before. I think I mentioned to you just in private, but she doesn't have a cartoon. James Gunn has mentioned that he's going to try to give her a cartoon, and I hope he does. But Batman has 8 billion cartoons. Superman has like 5. Wonder Woman has 0. The undisputed
The Trinity.
most famous female superhero on the face of the planet Earth does not have her own cartoon. And it is Superman the Animated Series. It is Batman the Animated Series. It is these cartoons that taught so many people about these characters in detail.
Mhm.
It is the reason people
Right.
know so much about Batman, because he's had 1,000 cartoons. Wonder Woman just needs one for people to actually start learning about her. Because the reality is, most people don't really know anything about the character beyond the surface level.
Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate. And she's very mischaracterized. And I had the wrong idea about the character for a very long time before I started digging deep into the comics. And that is the character I want to see most from this. Luckily, Gunn says that the 4 pillars of the DC EU will be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Supergirl. Which some people argue that Supergirl, why Supergirl? That's random. It should be Flash, because in the reality, the 4 pillars in the comics, it's those 3 in the Flash, the Trinity in the Flash. But the reason it's Supergirl is because they got to get another woman in there. Preferably, it would have been great if it was a black woman. But the reality is, there's no black woman hero in DC, unfortunately, that's on a level of someone like Storm. There could
Yeah.
be. There could be. Vixen is a very prominent member of the Justice League. One of the few consistent black woman members of the Justice League, because there's not a lot of black women who are consistently on the Justice League. She's really the only one. I could see becoming maybe not as big as Storm, but much bigger. And then there's DC's very first black superwoman or super hero, Nubia, which was essentially, the Black Wonder Woman. She was her original origin, which they retconned away, was that she was literally Wonder Woman's twin sister who was sculpted out of dark clay, not evil clay, but literally dark colored clay, and that's why she's black. But that was retconned. That is not the reason anymore.
Good idea.
But I if it was up to me, she would be a prominent character in the first Wonder Woman movie. Immediately established DC's first black woman hero immediately in the movie about their first and most famous black woman hero. I would do that personally, and I hope they do that. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts, my spoiler-free thoughts on Superman. We went a little Marvel tangent, which is naturally always going to happen. But that's about it. I'm excited to have you on for these sections going forward, and yeah, this was a great time. I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was very fun.
Yeah, but yeah, so just jumping into video games. So what have you been playing lately, if anything?
Okay. A lot of Balatro. I've been very Balatro, into Balatro lately again. Just because, very simple to pick up. But that's not anything new. I've been playing Automata again. Nier Automata. I got a really big hankering to just play through it again. And so I have been. I'm not very far in my replay through. I'm a little bit after the prologue, but it's been really fun because I was playing the Switch version initially. The first time I ever played Automata was on the computer, the PC port for Steam, and then I beat that, and then went on to buy it on my Switch again because I like the game that much, and just because I was curious to see how it would run. And it's nice on Switch, but going back to PC like I have right now, it's the difference is so palpable. It's insane. And it's I commend them for being able to get a game like Automata to run on the Switch, but PC is definitely the one of the definitive ways to play it, IMO. And also, you can do mods. So now instead of playing as 2B, I'm playing as 10H from the Nier mobile game, which is great. But I've been playing a lot of Automata. What else? There was something else. Oh, I've been replaying Deltarune from the beginning, trying to beat all the secret bosses this time around on one save file. And that's been a struggle. I'm still stuck on chapter 1. Yay. And that's really about it. Like I said, I've been more into books lately. Been doing the summer reading thing.
Yeah, I gotta get around to Nier eventually. My backlog is
Yeah.
vast. I still need to finish
It's
up
peak.
Blasphemous. I think I left off Blasphemous in the perfect spot because it's a boss. And I
Mm.
recognized the last time I had started to play it again that it's kind of easy to get back into it.
Hmm. Oh
But
yeah, for
also
sure.
it's gonna be even easier when I'm slapping my head against a boss, because then I'm just
Right.
gonna be forced to learn how to play. And it's a back to back boss because I had fought a boss, then moved forward and there was another boss. And I was like, all right, I'm not playing anymore. This is
Right.
enough plasma for a while. I don't need any more of this in my life. But yeah, Hades 2, still playing that with the latest update.
Mm-hmm.
I finally encountered some of those upgraded bosses with the Valve rivals that they added with the update, and they're definitely harder.
Banger.
Um, yeah, I think I lost one of my Death Defiances fighting Hecate, and I was like, God damn it, it's too early in this run to be
Mm.
dying. I shouldn't be dying here. Well, I don't know how much you know about another boss, so I'm not gonna say. But
Mm.
there's another boss that also got the upgrade, and they had somebody fighting alongside them, and I was like, well, first off, I thought we were friends
Right.
because it's
I thought you were rocking with me.
it's one of the like people you talk to and get upgrades from on your run that if you cut on the Vile rivals, they will assist the boss in the fight.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I was like, I thought we were homies,
Right.
but you're beating my ass, and they do
You're
poison
crazy.
damage, which sucks.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, and that boss, it's not even a hard boss, but I just need to like stop being stupid and letting them hit me and just get better at dodging some of their moves.
Mhm.
I very consistently tend to get to the second phase of the Chronos boss fight whenever I get down there. But that second
That's good.
phase is actually not that hard to get back on it. I figured out the pattern now. I feel like the last time I fought Chronos, I was like, okay, I get the pattern. I just need to survive.
Right.
And I hate when you lock in and you're like 1 HP and you're doing real good, and then you just get hit by one random thing. It's like, God damn it.
You forsaken me. But you know what? In you saying that, you reminded me that I've also been playing not Hades 2, but Hades 1. I've been kind of revisiting it a little bit, and it's been fun. I forgot how much I liked that game. I suck now, which is unfortunate. But um, my first run back, I did get all the way to Hades, which I was very proud of myself of. I didn't think that I was gonna make it that far. I did not beat Hades, unfortunately, but you know, we live and we learn. And I think that's like something I really love about Hades is that how you can like put it down for months or years at a time and then pick it back up and get right back into it as if you had never left in the first place. Like it's so nice.
Yeah, still playing Doom: The Dark Ages. I was convinced that Donkey Kong Bonanza came out on July 11th, but it comes out the 17th,
Hmm.
so I have more time to try and
Mm.
finish Doom before that comes out. And yeah, Doom: Dark Ages. It's finally clicking with me. I'm having a good time. Unlike the first two
That's
games,
good.
it took me a while to fully get into the groove of the gameplay loop, but now I'm all in, and it's fun. It's a good time. My only problem is something I loved about Eternal is that it forced you to use every weapon. You don't
Right.
necessarily feel forced to use every weapon in this game. I love
Um.
the weak spots that the enemies had that made you feel okay. Let's switch to this gun so that I could shoot the sticky grenade at the arachnids or arachnotrons turret so it could be no more. I hate the arachnotrons with everything. They've taken like some of the most iconic and like basic enemies and made them some of the most annoying things you will ever fight in your entire life.
Mm.
The arachnotrons and the revenants suck ass. I hate them so much. The arachnotrons just shoot you from far so much and for so long, and sometimes they'll be covered in armor. So you have to break the armor before you can try and kill them, and it sucks. And then the revenants just fly all over the place and are fast as hell, and then they become intangible for a brief period of time and turn into like a ghost and start shooting you. And I'm like, please leave me alone. It's fun though. Once I started dying is when I started having fun because at first I was like, this is a little too easy.
Hmm.
I'm playing on the second hardest difficulty, I believe, because if I played on a difficulty
Hmm.
below that, it would just be too easy. Um, yeah, I'm having a good time with Dark Ages. So I started playing Rematch, the soccer game from the Seafood devs, Slow
Ooh.
Clap,
Oh yeah.
because it's finally out and it's on Game Pass. So yeah, I started playing it and it's fun. It seems like it's doing well. Um, with an estimated million copies being downloaded at the very least, and
Mm-hmm.
28K concurrent players on Steam. So with proper support and reasonably priced battle passes and cosmetics, I feel like Rematch could be a cash cow for Slow Clap to fund their, future endeavors. Hopefully, either a Sifu 2 or like another action game. It doesn't have to be Sifu 2. I just want another action game from them. I also finally played the Karen demo, and it's very fun. It was so fun that I was mad when it was over. I was like, "What do you mean it's over? Give me more." Actually, I need to look up when it comes out because I meant to do that because it was so fun. It comes out November 5th. Okay, that's good. So Karen is a rock climbing simulation adventure game developed and published by the Game Bakers. And there aren't many games that I feel comfortable listening to a podcast while playing, but Karen has just been added to that short list because the story and music are very minimal. So all you have to do is focus on moving one limb at a time, literally, because when you start climbing, you move one limb at a time. You move your arm and then you click the button to grab on, position it to grab the right like ledge, and then do that with each limb and the legs, and it's very intricate. But then you also have, what do they call them? Pitons or pythons? I don't know how it's pronounced. That you can put into the wall so that you can hang and like regain stamina. And I'm sure there will be a lot of other tools that you can unlock as the game goes on when it's fully out. But yeah, it's real fun so far, and I'm excited to play more and just catch up on some podcasts while I play it. Next, we have Marvel Rivals Season 3. Phoenix and Blade were revealed in a stunning new trailer that featured a mix of 3D and 2D animation. And some synth music very reminiscent of the opening scene of the first Blade movie when Blade showed up to save the Phoenix from Hela in the trailer. But have you watched the trailer?
I have watched the trailer.
It's a good trailer.
It's hard.
It's a really
I fear.
good trailer.
Very good trailer.
So Rivals is going from 3-month seasons to 2-month seasons, starting with this one. So we'll be getting one new character every month. And the creators have said that, or the devs have said that they're not going to run out of characters, which makes sense because 12 characters a year. There's a lot of Marvel characters. Like even with 12 characters a year, it's going to take like 10 years before you run out of the popular ones. And even then, they're still going to be mixing in like less popular characters in between. So we're going to have characters forever. What we need are more tanks and support because there are too many DPS. There are too many duelists in this game. God damn it. And we're getting 2 more with this season. And I'm tired of it. Give me a tank. Give me a DPS. Because what's going to happen is I'm always forced to play one of them because nobody wants to be DPS or nobody wants to be tank or healer. But then the DPS will be ass. But here's the thing. Sometimes I'll get in game. For some reason, we have 3 healers, which sometimes that's the meta. Sometimes it's not. It's only the meta if you know what you're doing. I've played a game where I'm solo tank. We got 3 healers. We got 2 DPS. No one's healing me. I'm the only tank, and I'm not getting a lick, an ounce of healing. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm here to tank damage, but I'll die if you don't heal me. It gets real annoying real fast.
It sounds like it.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's fun, though. I promise. But yeah, Phoenix is releasing first on July 11th, and alongside the new map and Battle Pass. And Phoenix is a long-range duelist / DPS that specializes in doing damage to groups. The new map, Clentar / Drew Husk, is a domination / hold-to-point map, and the Battle Pass will be coming with a lot of Phoenix and Symbiote-themed skins, which is real fun. The Phoenix Force Emma Frost skin is very nice. And the symbiote skins are always cool, just seeing symbiote versions of characters. The Squirrel Girl one is really fun, where her tail is just a giant like symbiote mouth. And if you look up these skins, it's insane. And also, they're finally adding the Black Suit Spider-Man skin for the first time, which people have been waiting for that one. And it's probably about to make me play Spider-Man, because I don't play Spider-Man, and I hate playing against Spider-Man. But I'm about to become part of the problem. I started playing Black Panther. The first time I played this game, Black Panther sucked, to me at least. But then I started playing him and I got good, and I was like, wait a minute. I see the vision. I see how this works.
Makes sense.
But yeah, Marvel Rivals is fun. You gotta play it. It's a good time.
I will.
So next we have some new news on Resident Evil 9 Requiem. There was a
Mhm.
Capcom Spotlight a few weeks ago, and they suck as usual. They always suck. Capcom Spotlights are stupid. They don't
Mhm.
give you much new information, and it's
Mhm.
usually very boring information. This was the best of them, but even then, it was still whatever. Um, but we got some new information about Resident Evil Requiem, and it was like the segment was mostly the devs explaining the new direction they're going in. But we got a little bit
Mhm.
more gameplay, and we did get some good information from the devs themselves. And it seems like Grace Ashcroft will be the pro tag for pretty much the entirety of the game. Unlike what some people have
Mhm.
predicted. Like I mentioned last time, Maximilian Dude predicted that maybe Grace will be playable during the more run and hide horror sections, while we play as a pre-existing Resident Evil protagonist for the action segments. But
Mhm.
I forgot that, like, I'm pretty sure like all FBI agents, even analysts, have to learn how to use a gun. So she knows how to use a gun.
Right.
So it makes sense for her to have to use a gun and have to actually fight in the game.
Right.
Plus, the main character
Sure.
from the last two games, Ethan, had no gun training whatsoever and was shooting grenade launchers. So
Right.
it makes even more sense for her to also be shooting things. But despite that,
Mhm.
they did reveal that they considered making Leon the lead, but they said that it was too hard to make a horror game with such a fearless and experienced character. But I don't think that you
Mm.
just randomly mention Leon in a video about Resident Evil 9 where they're going back to Raccoon City. So I'm 100% certain he's going to be in this game in some form or fashion. But I assume he's probably going to be playable even if it's for a small section of the game, like Chris was in the last two games. Chris was DLC for this
Mhm.
7, and he was playable at the very end of 8. So I imagine they're probably going to do something like that for Leon. Either he's going to be DLC or he's going to be playable in a small section. But I also imagine I could see them not wanting to do too much and just having him be the only older character in the game, which will also be in his 50s. That'll be interesting to see him
Mhm.
looking older. Because I feel like he's been like the young hot guy of Resident Evil for so long, and now they have to make a version of him that's in his 50s.
Right.
And I'm curious to see what he'll look like. I assume he'll probably look like the version from the remakes, like in terms of the face model that they use. But they'll have to like age him up by like 20 years. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it'll be fun to see Leon again. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it at the very least. In my mind, I'm like, okay, there's been so many characters, obviously, that was in Raccoon City when it went down that survived somehow. Leon is going to be in
Mhm.
this game. That's good. That's at this
Right.
point,
Yeah,
it's
that's just
confirmed. It's
inevitable.
just a matter if they're also going to do Claire and Jill and maybe Chris. But Chris has
Mm.
been in it a lot. He can afford to not be in this one. But I have a feeling there's
Mhm.
a chance we could also see Chris or Claire and Jill. But I feel like they probably want to just do Leon because they don't want to do too much.
Yeah.
And also, the next game is the 10th game.
Ooh.
And that might be the game where you want to bring everybody back.
Yeah, methinks.
And
That would make the most
it's
sense.
100% going to be called Resident Evil X.
For sure.
It'd be stupid not to call it Resident Evil X.
Exactly. The
um,
title's hard.
it's too good of a name. Even Mortal Kombat, when they made Mortal
Right.
Kombat 10, they're like, well, we got to call it Mortal Kombat X.
It's, like Resident Evil 10 sounds so lame. That it sounds like a cash grab almost.
But also,
you know?
they've been doing subtitles instead of numbers now. So, but I think they're going to call it X something, probably. It's probably going to be.
Evil extermination.
That's insane. that would be. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they literally call it extermination, but they put the Roman numeral X where the actual letter X is, because they did that with Resident Evil 8, where they fit the Roman numeral where I think the was village. So where the was it that that where the
No.
VIL was, they like made the L look like an I, and it's Resident Evil 8, VII. And I think you might be onto something. It
I might be
might
cooking.
actually be
It's gonna
called
be something like that.
Resident Evil Extermination, and then they like incorporate the X with the X, just like they're incorporating the 9 with the Q and Requiem in the trailer.
Right.
So you
It's
might
a
be right.
Resident Evil fighting game, and that's why everybody comes back.
That'd be wild. But now we get that Marvel fighting game. Capcom might just make their own fighting game that's just Capcom characters, and we'll get like 10 Resident Evil characters.
Right.
But last but certainly not least, and unfortunately sad news to end off on is Xbox layoffs. As part of a wider Microsoft layoff of around 15,000 employees, Xbox laid off 7,000 of their employees, which, like, why do they have to do almost half of that? That's ass.
Right.
This has resulted in Studio The Initiative being closed, which is the studio that was working on the Perfect Dark remake. So that was also canceled, which I was really excited for that game, and that sucks so much.
Yeah.
Massive layoffs at ZeniMax Online Studios Europe, and their new MMO IP is canceled. Massive layoffs at Rare with their upcoming game Everwild being canceled. The Forza Motorsport devs Turn 10 had 50% of their staff fired. And finally, we have massive layoffs at the Call of Duty dev, Raven Software. And if they're laying off people that are making Call of Duty, you know there's a problem.
Yeah.
Xbox CEO Phil Spencer had this to say. Today, we are sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization. To position gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on strategic growth areas, we will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Out of respect for those impacted today, the specifics of today's notifications and any organizational shifts will be shared by your team leaders in the coming days. And that was just the first paragraph of his whole statement, but that was kind of the most important one. Because Inside Games on YouTube, which is a great YouTube channel that I if you want to get just caught up on like gaming news, I would definitely suggest following them. They've been in the industry for a long time. They are former G4. That's what it was. They worked at G4. I think they might have briefly worked at like IGN. They worked with Machinima, and they maybe most famously worked at Funhouse. I love Funhouse when Funhouse was still a thing. They were like pretty high up in Funhouse before they got bought up by Rooster Teeth, and then Rooster Teeth no longer exists. But they left
Right.
Rooster Teeth and Funhouse long before Rooster Teeth went under, but because of WB. So they've been kind of on their own, doing their own streams and stuff, and then they started Inside Games, which is essentially them kind of continuing something that they used to do with Funhouse and Rooster Teeth called Inside Gaming. But of course, they don't have the ownership of that name anymore, so they turned into Inside Games, and now they do the same kind of news coverage through their own personal means, and it's really good and very informative. And whenever we get big news like this, I always go to them whenever they release a video to help me formulate my notes. And they kind of almost reiterate essentially what's said here, but in a way that makes more sense. And it's that Xbox, they didn't want to lay these people off, even though we've seen Xbox lay people off before. This layoff was because Microsoft said people have to go. Oh, Xbox isn't doing as well as we want them to. Let's direct most of these layoffs to them to save money, I can only assume. And they had to make the choice of like, okay, who do we let go? And it seems like they're directing the layoffs to middle management, specifically because they bought Bethesda, they bought Activision Blizzard, and because they bought these big self-publishing entities, there's a lot of middle management, and Phil Spencer specifically says they're trying to increase agility and effectiveness, and having all these middle managers from the previous leadership of those organizations kind of be in place kind of makes it harder for them to be agile, as they say. So they're kind of getting using this unfortunate situation of them having to lay people off to lay off those people so that they could be more agile and effective, as they say. It sucks just overall, just for people to be losing their jobs. And some of these layoffs are so big that you got to wonder, like, some of these, like Turn 10, the Forza Motorsport devs lost half of their staff. What did they? What?
It's like, how much?
Like, my guess is that so there's two Forza games. There's Forza Motorsport, which is the actual racing one, and then there's Forza Horizon, which is the open world one. Forza Horizon does great. Forza Motorsport doesn't do as well. My hope and guess is that hopefully the 50% that are remaining are folded over into the Forza Horizon team versus being completely laid off in like a year or so. Because I imagine that some of these teams that have been massively gutted are just going to go eventually, that they're just going to shut those studios down. Whether it's because they shut the studio down and fold them into another studio, or they're just gone. Like Raven Software as well, I want to hope that rather than just closing the studio and firing everybody. They close the studio and fold them into the other Call of Duty studios, like Treyarch and all of them. Like, because it's weird that
It's
this
just like,
Raven Software has been working on Call of Duty for a long time, and Call of Duty is one of the most profitable things that Xbox owns right now. So for them to start laying off people from a Call of Duty dev is insane.
right. It's like they say it's in the name of efficiency and like, you know, being able to I don't know. It just doesn't, like, I don't know anything about business, so that might come through in the way that I talk about this, but it's like it doesn't make sense to me to like laying off middle management. I guess that makes sense. It's like cutting out like all the unnecessary back and forth, but like half of an entire team of staff, like who's gonna develop the games in like that like what was the term he said? I forgot that quickly.
In reference to what?
Like
Agility and effectiveness?
yeah, it's like, how are you going to develop games with agility and effectiveness if you've only got half of a team to do so with? What sense does that make?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just this is bonkers to me. That's the only way I can talk about it. It's like, it's bonkers.
And what makes it
very backwards.
What makes it suck extra hard is that Xbox profit margins have been increasing lately because of the whole,
right.
The stuff we talked about recently about the stuff that they've been doing a good job of like trying to really get in on the PC market because PlayStation and Nintendo aren't really in there. So Xbox is kind of like taking advantage of that. So they're starting to do better, but I guess Microsoft doesn't care, and they're still not doing good enough for Microsoft, which sucks.
Bad.
Yeah,
very much sucks.
And yeah, it definitely feels like in like a year we're gonna see more studios just get closed because of this, and that sucks.
And I feel like Xbox does this every once in a while where they're like, we're downsizing, and then they downsize and their profit go down. They're like, why is the profit going down? Fire everybody! And it's like, one of these days they're going to literally fire everybody and then not have anybody to make games. I feel like, like it's going to get to a point.
Yeah, coincidentally, I saw a post before we started recording. I mean, is that that said like studios are like deciding that people only want this one very specific game in this specific genre instead of making a bunch of games in that genre. Like there was like a bunch of that meme that started from Regular Show where it's like Skips and all his friends, and then it skips in just a bunch of graves because he's immortal. For those of you who don't watch Regular Show, it was that, but all of the different racing games that PlayStation used to make, and like Mod Nation Racer and stuff like that. And then now it's just Forza Horizon, or not Forza Horizon. I'm thinking of the games we were just talking about from Xbox. What do you call it? Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
And now it's just Gran Turismo, and there's nothing else. And how that's an industry-wide thing where devs go, okay, people only want this very specific thing from this genre. It's like, no, we want diversity.
Right.
And like, yeah, Xbox is kind of like the direction they're going. They've already done it with like Forza to an extent. But at this rate, they might end up doing that with like the rest of the genres that they touch on. That they only have studios that make one game in that specific genre versus a bunch of studios that makes a bunch of different games within the same genres, and some in different ones. But you want to like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks. It was so bad, and you want to hope that they've been doing better, and then for them to just take a big step back like this, which they've been doing this for a while, but like lately there's just been so much positive Xbox news for me that this just sucks so hard to see them just do this really big bad thing after all the good news.
It's like, you guys are doing so well.
So now this one's not necessarily specifically Xbox, more so a wider Microsoft thing. And this is mostly speculation, but it seems like it might be true, unfortunately. And is that according to the Seattle Times, Microsoft laid off 15,000 employees to free up spending for artificial intelligence.
Of course.
There's a quote saying that investing heavily in AI infrastructure and products at the cost of everything else is proving popular among shareholders over at Microsoft. And that sucks to hear.
Very much sucks to hear.
Especially since that, like...
Because it's like, here's what's...
Where does that impact Xbox? Because, like, the AI absolutely cannot make games.
It can't.
AI can't make games.
It can't.
The part that makes games so good, and art specifically so good. Like, there are so many places where in a tech company I could see AI being useful, But when it comes to
Mhm.
making games, you can't. AI can't make games.
Like
AI just
it's just not
it's the human creativity
physically
that makes
capable.
art so good. Without that, it's not good. It's not enjoyable. There's no soul.
Yeah. And it's like even beyond that, like I don't think that AI has the physical capabilities of making a game. Like
Oh,
they
for sure.
don't it doesn't understand the development cycle, it doesn't understand play like it can't play test its own game because look at its own work and be like, yeah, that's fine, and then release it and then the product will be absolute garbage. And like in investing so heavily in AI, I believe that Microsoft is shooting itself in the foot because nobody wants the weird AI features in Windows 12 or 11, 12, and all Windows that come afterwards. They're not going to use them, and then they're going to be like, oh, it's not profitable because X, Y, Z, and it's like it's really not profitable because it's like it's the AI is in there. Nobody wants that. Well, I mean, some people
Yeah, I
want
was
it,
just say,
but it's like
unfortunately, a decent amount of people
I
want it,
don't know.
but it's also just so bad for the environment. And the thing is, AI, it's like, what is this? It's like that quote, like
It's
there are no like, there is no bad tech. There's only bad people who use technology, and it's like, yeah, like AI isn't bad. It's the way people are using it, and like we're just not ready for it because it's
mhm,
just not, it's not efficient because it just uses too many resources that we need to live, like the drinkable
right.
water that we use, which is insane also because it's like I gotta wonder if it uses a lot of water. Does it have to use?
Mhm.
I have like I have to assume it has to use like drinking water and it can't use salt water. But like figure out how to
Right.
make it use salt water. Because why
Something.
is it using the water that we drink? We're gonna run out if you do this. We need water to survive.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, AI inherently is not like artificial intelligence is not inherently like
Bad.
a
Yeah.
morality issue. It's generative AI that's the problem, and
Exactly.
people are
That's the big
reducing it
problem.
to like all artificial intelligence. And so, in using AI as a blanket term for what you really mean, generative AI stuff, AI that like takes from like human creativity and other like human work and makes its own thing out of it. So your Chat GPT, your AI image generator,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Like
That is
recently,
bad. Artificial intelligence as a
yeah, you can finish your thought.
oh yeah, like artificial intelligence as a concept inherently is not a bad thing. In fact, like all the applications of AI prior to the genesis of generative AI were really good. We were using it to detect cancer. We were using it to like like neural networks to improve our lives, and then it all just went downhill after they realized that you could steal art and make money from it. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's very bleak.
Like it's yeah, generative AI and also the just environmental impact of it. That sucks. But also, like
Mm-hmm.
one of the good uses of it that is like it's not always correct, but it can be very helpful for very small things, which is like the like the auto Google AI thing that they do at the top when you search something can be very useful sometimes. When you're searching for something that doesn't require a lot of cross referencing and like that you're not afraid
Right.
that Google is lying to you. Like if it's something very small, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking up, okay, how many tablespoons are in a gallon? I looked up recently. And
Right.
AI can absolutely give me that answer. I don't expect the AI to be wrong when it comes to math. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the like legitimately like positive uses of AI. It's like, yeah, Google is being real weird with AI in some ways. But that's one of the ways it's like, yeah,
Right.
Google, that's actually a really useful way to use AI. Just like give
Right.
me a very quick synopsis of a search and like it like the problem is some people are lazy and will take that as law and not do any further research. And like sometimes you can look something up, Google will kind of just tell you what you want versus what you need. So like you have to
Yeah.
like not
Right.
don't always trust that very first AI answer and like scroll down for and look a little further
Exactly.
first. um I, like most people, don't often go past the first page, not gonna lie. But also
Yeah.
I
No.
don't usually need to. Usually what I'm looking for is on that first page. But like
Right.
scroll down a little bit. Don't just go with that first AI option. But it can be useful for small things, for inconsequential things. Uh, and yeah, also just the people that are using AI to like cheat in school. I'm so afraid for the children. I'm so
Yeah.
afraid for
It's
the
really
children.
bleak.
because we live in Baltimore.
They
For
don't know how
people who
to
don't
think for
know,
themselves anymore.
and
Right.
our school system is already unfortunately bad. You know, there's a whole conversation that we had about that, and the fact that our city is 60% black, and because of that, over 60% black. Actually, I think it's like 62 point something percent black now, and because of that, having a mostly black population, the government doesn't give a fuck about us.
They don't.
And because of
Not
that,
one bit.
and because of that, Baltimore is better than it was before, but still the way that it is because it's mostly black people and racism exists. So they don't want us to be great.
Yep.
They don't want us to be Wakanda. And
Right.
and
We have the potential, I feel like.
because of that, our school system sucks. We have like one of the worst
real
in the country because
Mhm.
they just don't like black people. They're just not letting us be great.
Yeah.
And AI is just only going to make that so much worse because the reading comprehension
Really.
of kids nowadays is abysmal. It sucks.
It's so
bleak. And it's
like,
real bad here in Baltimore especially, and it sucks that it's that way.
Because it's like they don't even, I don't know. And in like the way that I teach, like I'm like, don't use it. It makes your brain dumb because like AI is doing to kids what our parents thought TV would do to us, if that makes sense.
This time, it is that goddamn phone.
Yeah, but like it literally is that goddamn phone, and I'm like vindicated because it's like at least it wasn't my generation on that goddamn.
Like because at least we grew up in a time
token,
where we had a significant portion of our childhoods where we didn't have the phone for it to be a problem.
Right. And it's like now because kids are being raised on that goddamn phone, like it's so bleak.
Like we weren't born with smartphones in our hands. We started getting smartphones when we were in like middle school. I didn't get one until I was in high school.
I didn't get mine until like the 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah, so like,
and even then it definitely wasn't an iPhone. My mom was like, you're gonna get this Android and you're gonna earn an iPhone because it's like,
yeah, but nowadays they have a phone from when they're tiny, or they're using an iPad the whole time. It's like, it's wild. It's crazy. AI sucks.
Yeah. It really does.
But yeah, that's all I got.
All I got. It's just it's bleak, but we can do something about it. We
absolutely can.
We can't be hopeless.
Yeah. I'm Dijon. You can find my @ above me and IR's @ above them. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.
See ya.